Okay. Well, I'm going to call the Toledo Planning Commission meeting to order for November 12th, 2025. And we need to do a roll call. Start with Brian.
Brian Lundgren here.
Jonathan Mix here.
Ann Ellis here.
Cora Warfield here.
Ricky Dyson here.
Dennis Sutherland here.
Okay, then the next thing, I don't see really any visitors. We'll do the approval of the October 8th, 2025 minutes as circulated. Has everybody had a chance to review the minutes, and anybody wanting to move approval?
I would move that we approve the minutes from the October 8th, 2025 minutes.
No, second that.
Okay, all those in favor, do you want to vocalize by saying aye?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, minutes are approved as presented. Next thing we've got here are discussion items. First thing up is traffic calming review. Justin?
Terrific. Thank you.
It's Rick.
So I just want to highlight today on the traffic calming what updates were made from the previous meeting. So the last meeting we kind of went through the code in a little bit more detail, but based on those discussions, there are a few things that were adjusted as part of the ordinance based on the comments that we received from planning commission members. So I think does everyone feel like they have a strong understanding of traffic calming generally at this point? So I'll kind of jump and skip that part and jump right into the updates that were made based on the comments. So first, there was some question on how we define residence, and the goal of the residence definition is to adjust it so it's residents are defined as the person or persons living at a residence. This includes owners or renters. That was part of the discussion of whether to make it clear that it could be owners or renters that are signing the petition. Each residence may have only one signer on a petition. So that means that if you lived with a more traditional household with your partner, only one of you could sign, or even if you lived in a household with 3 roommates, only one of you could sign the petition. So it's just making it clear in terms of that count. And so if there were 10 dwelling units on the street, you would need 6 of those residents to sign. And we used dwelling units there because if there's say a duplex on the street, that would be, each of those would count as being able to have a resident there, rather than say in a single family dwelling or something like that, just to make it clear there. So that was the update, was adding the residence definition, and that comes into play when it gets to that 51% number later in the ordinance for the petition. Any questions on the residence definition? And then we added a clarification that traffic calming on collectors can be considered through the transportation system plan or capital improvement process. So the intent of that was to make it clear that on a collector, say that an improved crossing was part of a transportation system plan, or bulb outs to shorten the crossing distance for an intersection. Those could still potentially be built, but it needs to be identified in the transportation system plan, which some of those might already be, and then it can go through and be added. So it's rather than going through the resident petition process through this traffic calming ordinance, you're going through the TSP or capital improvement plan. So we don't want to eliminate that potential ability, because I think some of the comments that came up were that on highway Business Highway 20, that there are still some concerns on speeding on that. So certain things like a improved crosswalk or bulb outs might make sense later on Business Highway 20, to maybe help slow down traffic a little bit. Any questions there? And then the next bullet was reducing the average daily traffic volume to 100 vehicles per day. And that came up because I'm forgetting the number we were at. I think we said 250. Yeah. And the discussion came to that 250 seemed a little too high, but so to lower that barrier for potential implementation, 100 trips is still a good amount of trips coming through. And if it's clearly, even if there's say 80 trips, but it's an area that has high speeding and is really dangerous, or sorry, at least 100 trips. So if you still have 100 trips there, but people are really using that, whatever corridor it is, to speed, then that could still be potential for the traffic calming, even though it maybe, is lower on the volume, but higher on the dangerous behavior. So it was just taking that down from 250 to 100. This one's pretty straightforward, but we removed leading pedestrian intervals because that was only applicable at traffic signals, and that would be on Business Highway 20, so not really an option for the traffic calming ordinance. That could be something that's added through the transportation system plan, but basically that just allows for a pedestrian. It gives them a couple extra seconds before vehicles get to go. And it's just a way to allow the pedestrians to go first for safety. Next, and I think you helped me catch as your discussion was going, exempted and instead of accepted, but clarify that some traffic calming devices are meant to be installed at intersections and are exempt from this subsection. So that's 10, 30, and then 60E. That was added. So basically, some of these options like bulb outs, you might have it at an intersection, or an improved crosswalk, you might have directly at an intersection, or even something like a speed a speed hump would not be directly at an intersection. So that's where that 200 feet from an intersection would still apply. You don't want to put a speed hump right in the middle of the intersection, but there are certain things like the improved crosswalks that could occur right at an intersection. So it's just making it clear that those could still be applicable there. And
I just had a question.
Yeah.
Going back to the high visibility painted sidewalks, number A, the enhanced marking patterns. What is a continental? I can picture zebra and ladder designs. What's a continental marking pattern? Do you know?
That is a good question.
I mean, so anyways, I was just curious.
I would have to Google before I could describe the
Okay,
continental.
well, I can Google it too. It's just I didn't think to. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, those were they happen to be kind of the standard ones they had. So now I should have Googled all three of those before.
Picturing, these. You can picture all sorts of, yeah, there you go. Yeah.
And then the next one we reduced, this is kind of similar to the earlier comment, but it's specific for cul-de-sacs and no outlet streets, but reducing the street length requirement there. So the purpose of that is, in theory, if it's a cul-de-sac street, that traffic might be slower because people aren't cutting through, but reducing that length for that, where that becomes applicable, because it might make sense right at the start of a cul-de-sac to still as you're entering it to still have a speed hump or something if people are speeding coming into it. So just reducing that distance a little bit.
I go down A Street in the mornings and I go where the bus stops are. And there's one right in front of where the new meat market is there. And then there's another one down by the Head Start. And so a lady slows down when she goes by the meat market, then speeds up for the 3 houses before she gets to the Head Start, and then slowed down again. It wasn't real fast, but it was kind of thought, oh, okay.
Yeah, and it is,
People's habits.
it is hard to control people's behavior, but these are,
Oh, I
these
have
are
a hard time going under 30 myself some places. It's hard. Yeah.
And then there was an addition to allow the Public Works Director to also initiate the process. So that the standard would be, say, you as a planning commission member and a resident wanted to start the petition, that would be the standard option, but this was adding to where the Public Works Director could also potentially kick off the process. So if there was clearly a bunch of comments that have come in and concerns, that could be potential where it led to where the Public Works Director could take that initiative to start the process. You would still need to follow the public hearing and go through all those steps. But there's that way that the staff essentially can initiate the process.
And then number 4, that was, it says after the applicant provides required community support. That means the petition, is that correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the petition. And we don't have it in the packet yet, but we would create a form essentially as staff that if someone came in, was interested in traffic calming, we could provide them the form and then they could start to take that to the neighbors, and it would include probably a spreadsheet where you could start to get those.
And when I first read that, I
signatures.
thought, well, somebody might read that and think that it was an alternative to the petition. So I was thinking if we just added community support via petition, then it would be clear if somebody didn't read everything.
Yeah. And it was in which section we're in, just to be clear.
Don't want to make it longer.
It was on page 6, is that where you were?
Yeah, page 6,
Okay.
sorry, I should have referenced that. Number 4, 6, number 4.
Yeah, okay. Well, those were the bullet points that were updated and changed. I guess there was one other minor one, which I didn't mention as a bullet, which was making it clear boundary area, because we used we kind of jumped between terms there, but we made it clear in terms of the boundary area. Or for the density of those lots in terms of where to look for the petition. And yeah, those are everything. Were there any other things that we missed as staff from the last meeting that should have been updated as well? Or anything you noticed from since the last meeting?
And then this will go to the council, and then when it's implemented, it looks like the planning commission is the one who will decide. Is that correct?
Yeah, and then there's a potential appeal process to council, but the
Same, yeah.
predominant body for review would be planning commission, yeah. And the goal, I need to reach out to the city manager, Rich, is to actually have a joint work session with the planning commission and city council on both the traffic calming and the parks plan discussion, so kind of jumping between topics here, that we go through the traffic calming ordinance so that it doesn't come without any context to the city council. And then planning commission members can help answer any questions as well, why decisions were made. And then there can be still edits there in that work session. Then it would go to city council for ordinance adoption if they were ready. And then at the same time discussing the parks plan survey results once kind of those start to come through, but likely early January, most likely, unless we can squeeze something in December.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions or comments on the traffic calming review? Okay, so I guess we'll move on to the Parks Master Plan project update.
I guess the first question is who has taken the survey?
I have,
Yeah,
I did. And I thought it was a good survey. Hopefully you have a lot of people taking it. It would give you guys some good information, I think.
yeah, so as
I didn't take this one, but I remember taking one there was an open house a couple years ago, and this seemed to be a similar survey.
so I would still take this survey.
And submit it?
This one hones in a little bit more on the park specific. The comp plan survey had a couple parks related questions.
But this is of all of them.
This is just all, and because what I noticed, I was telling Arlene this, does everybody know where that Glen Lyons Park is on Sturdivant Road?
I think that's the one that's off of 18th, isn't it?
Yep.
And that's a nice little park, and I was wondering when I saw that, I go, what, but you gotta go down at least 4 blocks off of Sturdivant before you even get to the park.
So it's off of Sturdivant then? I was gonna say, I don't think I've ever seen it. That was what I had a
No, it
question.
isn't, it's, you go down, you go all the end of Sturdivant, and then you make a right onto 18th. Or you can go left onto, I forget where that is, like that.
Quarry Street, stuff like that.
Yeah,
Yes,
there
but
you
that,
got
but
it,
what
yeah.
that park is that's the Aquina View Park on Donnell Drive. That one back there.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, that's the Aquina
okay.
View Park back there.
Okay, well then
Yeah.
you got me. I had
And,
no idea.
cause see, I knew
just
where all these
assumed.
other parks
Yeah.
were. But when I got down to the Glen Lyons Park,
Yeah, I don't know.
physically, I didn't know where that was.
I still don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah, no.
I didn't either.
And I don't see
So
the,
that was really the only-
Don,
It's right up here, it's the third one down
oh, there, your point of view,
Yeah.
okay.
on Donnell.
Okay, yeah, I got those mixed up with the other thing.
Yeah, and that's a really good
Sturdivant,
question because, and part of this is we have this list, one of the questions being how often you use some of these parks, and part of this goal is to make residents ask that question, like, oh, where is that park? I haven't ever used that park. And then ultimately with the parks plan, what will come with that is a page or two for each park highlighting some of the key features that exist at that park and like recreation opportunities that are available at each of the parks, and then have information about potential improvements on those different parks. So yeah, part of it bringing awareness and then identifying some potential improvements based on some of the comments we receive. And most likely, there will be kind of a follow-up survey that gets really specific, more specific into like pictures of specific parks and then asking about specific improvements. This was a more general high level, but it would either be a survey or in an open house format where we can have the picture of whatever park it is, A Street, Glen Lyons, Aquina View Park, and then asking about the specific improvements that they'd like to see at those parks. So we want to get high level with this survey, and based on this, then dive a little bit more detailed into some of those either a survey and open house or just open house style event where we're out and about getting comments on parks. So that, yeah, not the last touch point for community input. And
How many years ago was it that we took a trip around to the park?
That was a long time ago. Yeah. One, I'm trying to figure, wasn't there one that was down and it was real swampy? Well, Stuart, I'm trying to picture, it's just gonna bug the beans out of me.
It did to me too, that's why I asked Arlene when I got here, I said, where is that Glen Lyons Park?
Now, it's off of 18th, but I actually think you have to access it from River Road, River Drive.
Ah.
Yeah.
There's like a trail there.
There's a trail, there's a bike
Okay,
path.
now I think,
They've been revamping
It's-
it lately.
Yeah, it's been
Yeah.
improved for some
Okay.
bike trails.
okay.
Still don't know where, you need to take a drive around and check that out,
Yeah.
though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in our so again, this was funded through an Oregon Parks and Rec grant, and we have one of our assistant planners from the Council of Governments helping, and he actually was able to go out with the parks crew to all the different parks and take photos and everything, so that'll kind of be part of it, is that, yeah, there's the photo, a map, and then key features at each park, and then potential improvements at the different parks, and also highlighting, especially where improvements have recently happened, kind of highlighting what has occurred at those parks recently, as part of the plan. Yeah, and I guess I have not analyzed any of the survey results yet, I'll say that, but we do have 37 responses so
Oh,
far.
wow, that's really
Which,
good.
which I think is pretty good for a city of Toledo size. Now that we've got 37, now it makes me wanna say like, oh, I wanna get 50, and the high number is like, can we get to 100? So it sounds like many of you have not filled out the survey yet, so that could be another 5 responses right there. And then if you have a partner in your household, or
I was
even.
just gonna say, you can elbow.
Yeah, don't influence them on their answers, but let them take the survey. And also,
Dinner until you take it.
we are trying to, about a year ago, there was a group of students that presented to the city council, so we're trying to we're still working on getting our foot in the door there, but there's kind of potential to hopefully have some students, high school students, take the survey as well, because those age ranges go from under 18 and then up in terms of the categories, but it would be good to have some students filling out the survey as well, especially since they were involved and presented to city council last year as well, so we're hopeful that could add to some of the responses as well. But yeah, 37 I think is a really good start, and we're putting out the posters that are laminated, we'll be putting those out, and then you can take some of those little cards if you want that have the QR code, and actually if you did do the Halloween event with kids, they were passing out the little survey link with candy as well. So the hope was that,
Oh, that's good.
yeah, get a little candy and hopefully take the survey. And then we also put in to the water bills, a little third of a page essentially note about the parks plan, and then it's on the website. And I think, was there a social media post?
Yes.
Yeah, and there was a social media post. So we're trying to get it out there. I definitely think we can get to 50,
Yeah.
if not well over 50, with the help of.
Yeah, the social
I don't
media
know.
post is how I saw it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I went right on and did it.
Any broad questions about the survey or the parks plan so far?
For me, it was just that one part was my only.
Said I was just.
Yeah, we'll summarize those results at that joint work session.
It was nice to see that the port was also, you know, that walkway was included, even though
Yeah.
it's, yeah.
That thing is popular.
Yeah, and that's a really good point, because one thing, it is that we're including all facilities in the city.
Yeah.
The one kind of caveat is that for improvements, the city doesn't have the control for the port-owned
Right,
facility, but it's included in the plan, and then the port can review it as well if there's any information to help them.
yeah,
But I know that one's a very popular walking path and an area for events as well. So those are included in addition to the
Now-
city parks.
I didn't see museums on here, like for the railroad and the history museum. Because I saw some kids down there playing, you know, on the little stuff, and it's,
Yeah, we did not, it's not,
but then if
could be
somebody,
discussed.
if they go to the port, they probably put it there. I've just all of a sudden thought about it, I didn't before.
yeah, I think museums could be listed as like resources in the parks plan, but they're not kind of under the public works purview in terms of
Okay.
improvements,
Okay,
so they're not
okay.
typically included as
It's just, it draws people, it's what I, yeah.
but I think it's a good thing to mention that we list those other community resources as well.
Yeah.
As part of this.
Okay, did you have anything else on that, Justin?
Nope, if there's no more questions, I think that's everything I had.
Okay, so the next thing on the agenda here are updates and reports.
Yeah, I wanted to report that the Ammon rezone and annexation application that planning commission reviewed last month went to city council last week and was approved by city council. There's the 21-day appeal period, but there were, no comments against, and we had a few comments during the planning commission meeting and one comment during the city council meeting, but yeah, I'll knock on wood, but it looks like it will go through pending that appeal period. And yeah, that'll help Public Works move forward with their water tank project, and that's something we can keep planning commission members updated on the status of that project.
Do they have an end date that they're kind of anticipating on that? Because I was surprised at how many steps it kind of seemed like they were having to go through, and so it could be a timely thing. I mean, it could take a little while, couldn't it?
Yeah, they're in the design phase at this point, so yeah, it could definitely take some time, but I don't have exact dates.
I don't either. I think engineering would be settled early next spring and then out to bid in the summer, I would hope.
And I think part of it will be Public Works providing that outreach to and about when things, like right now, it's less kind of out in the open in terms of obviously the bond passed, but it's not like things are getting torn down. It's in the design phase, but once things start to construction, that's when more kind of public outreach and notes about kind of the work and potential impacts and will be coming through. And this could go under staff comments or updates and reports, but the plan is to cancel the December meeting. And we'd be back January 14th, and everyone has their schedule, and it was individually brought up about training. So the plan would be to, depending on public hearings and where that joint work session ends up falling, at one of the early meetings of next year, doing a planning commission training again around public hearings. We've done those in the past, but it's been probably a little over a year since we've had one, so we'll do another training.
I like that idea.
Like, you get the credit for that. It's you.
Oh, you mean everybody gets to hate me for that, right?
No, I think it's a good idea, so.
Just be happy it's you and not them.
Well, whenever any of them are sitting here, it will be important to know that. It's nice when you're sitting over there because you can kind of go, yeah. Okay, so do we want to move on then to staff comments? Or did that take care of that?
That's, I think, everything that we had. Yeah.
Okay, next, are there any commissioner comments?
No.
Well, okay. No commissioner comments, I guess that means we're ready to adjourn, right? Everybody ready for that? All right, I'm gonna adjourn the meeting
What happens?
at 6:41. I know.